Ladies and gentlemen, all good things must come to an end. And yes, this is the last episode of the Beyond the Horizon series. But just so you know, I've got a final build that I'm going to be putting in the end of this episode, so stick around. But before we do that, I just want to take a moment here and soak in everything we've done over the time we've had on this series. Starting with this. The first build I did, we started here. This hill here didn't even exist. And to be honest, I remember this house taking a lot longer than I expected it to. From over here, I do think it actually does look pretty cool. But there are, a few things. I never really did finish it. There's still torches on the ground. There's also all these sag mills and stuff like that from Ender IO that we never really made a home for. We've got these zombie heads over here too. Any good garage, it's definitely a well-used space. We also have this, which is our sort of temporary create workshop, but it ended up being more like a permanent create workshop because some of the basic things here, like the slicer and the deployer and the saw, this is a mechanical saw back there, all this stuff ended up being useful all the way through our playthrough, unfortunately, because I was just too lazy to build something better than that. But next time maybe. And in here we got our cat bro, which got in the last episode. But over here, this was our second build. This office here. And this is actually something that I was super happy with. I love this little detail here. This is probably my third favorite build in this series. I wanted to do some plants and stuff like that in here. I don't like this door here either that goes into the garbage back area. But if you're wondering, my storage system here, it actually connects up underground. I don't know if I ever properly showed this, but it connects up underground to our see how messy it is back here, to our quantum ring and our item vaults. And we've got quite a few item vaults here actually. And believe it or not, all of these are basically full. All of these item vaults are basically full. There's a lot of materials here that we've gathered up over our time playing this game. Now the power here actually comes from all the way over at our workshop, and I'll show you where that is, at our factory. Now if we go at the back here, you'll see our solar panel, which was our very first power generation system that we had going on. We've also got some compost bears, which are relatively new. Apart from that, the other builds that we did in here are the kitchen, which looks really nice, but it is practically useless. We didn't really do anything with the kitchen. There should be some food on the table. There maybe should be something on this table. There should be a knife in that cutting board. Little tiny details that we never really got to because honestly, I just never really used the space. This over here also is a really nice build, my bedroom, which incorporates the simulation chamber and the loop fabricator from Hostile Neural Networks. I actually really like this. I really like this. I like these frames from Building But Better. I made these carpets out of copycat slices and copycat bite panels. And I think they actually look really nice. I'm really happy with how these carpets turned out. And then the actual bed itself uses these curtains from Valhesia. I think the bedroom itself actually did turn out really well. Other than that, our main house is actually really unfinished. I've got this big gash, this big opening in the side of the house here that probably could have just done with some glass. I probably could just throw some glass up in here and just be done with it. But I wanted to make some kind of a tea house garden sort of thing out here with a bit of but I never really got around to it, unfortunately. So, it's just unfinished. We got this back area here. I did have a plan to put these create hypertubes and have them traveling over to our factory, but I never ended up working with the hypertubes. I also really like this little centerpiece. Super simple. We don't really have a door, though it would have been a good idea to have a nice big double door that maybe opened and closed with create mod. But I like this thing. It makes me feel like it really gives me like a hotel vibe, honestly. To me, it feels like the entranceway to like a fancy hotel or something like that. And that's sort of what I was going for with my like high-end, like modern, super modern, like house feel. On to the next big structure, the factory. Now, the parking lot and that little car is like a brand new addition, but the factory itself was built like, man, like early in the series, and I'm super happy with it. To be honest, I'm kind of disappointed with how little we actually ended up using it. I think this is probably one of my most favorite builds that I've ever done. Second favorite in this series though. But yeah, let's take a look. Let's go inside. Actually, you know what? Before we go through this, let's check out this. This is my tree farm, and it kind of went a little bit neglected. I kind of got what I needed out of it, which was like, you know, saplings and wood and all that fun stuff. But I did at one point want to build like a little sawmill sort of looking area back here, which would have made like planks. It would have made charcoal and things of that nature, but I never really got around to it. So that is a project for another series, I suppose. Now we're inside the factory. And one of the first things we did in this factory was we made this big giant cobblestone generator and then converted it into an iron farm, which did produce all the iron we used throughout this entire series. We put in these steam engines really early as well. One of the other things that we did kind of early on was we messed around with pneumatic craft. And for the longest time, I was using these charcoal-powered compressors and eventually figured out how to generate power using rotational power by basically putting these alternators on these flux compressors. Now this mod actually does provide us with, it's called Compress Create or something like that. Yeah, it has this mod, Compress Creativity. This mod actually adds a rotational compressor, which is supposed to take rotational energy and turn it into compressed air, which is what I wanted to use for this setup, but ended up going with this like alternator and the FE and the flux compressors, which take energy, mainly because it was more consistent, and it ended up being a much more set it and forget it system that I didn't really have to think about. These also produce a much higher pressure. I think that's actually the main reason that I did this, is because of the higher pressure. But I ended up funneling these into this aerial interface, which I did have to learn from one of the mod. I learned about this from one of the mod pack devs. This thing is basically what's been powering my chest plates and stuff like that. My actual like awesome pneumatic armor that gives me the ability to fly like this, gives me the ability to jet forward. We did quite a bit with pneumatic craft up on this little ledge, and it did end up expanding outwards. So here we have a chest, this chest is actually where we were getting stuff from the pneumatic craft, the like Amadron delivery system. We used that a few times to get this set up, which is the assembly system for pneumatic craft, which is how we got into the advanced stuff within this mod. It did kind of make me really OP early on though, which might be my fault because I kind of speed ran it a little bit. I really like pushed through and like made this happen as fast as possible, just because I wanted like my end game armor right away. I wanted the ability to fly and stuff like that right away. I don't know. I feel like if I had another option to fly, I wouldn't have necessarily gone with like the overpowered armor right away. I probably would have stuck with something that just gave me like general flight abilities. Flying is just so handy when it comes to like building and stuff like that, that I felt like I needed it, especially early on when you're doing all those beginning builds. You know, big structures and stuff like that you actually house all your materials and all your factories in. We also messed around with some of the immersive engineering stuff, and I also have this little setup here that kind of connects Create to the coke ovens from immersive engineering. We didn't really get that far into immersive engineering though, and I'm kind of disappointed by it, because immersive engineering is a really, really cool mod that I haven't really dived very deep into it yet in any of my playthroughs, mostly because Create tends to do a much better job of a lot of the things that immersive engineering does. There are some benefits, that immersive engineering gives that Create doesn't really do, like the this thing, the garden cloche, which is supposed to like grow plants really quickly, which we never used, but it would have been handy. It would have been a handy thing to make for sugarcane, which we did struggle to get. We also did some stuff with Create 6. I finally figured out how Create 6 storage systems work. And this happened like pretty late in the series, like my last few episodes I figured this out. So we're definitely going to be diving more into this sort of like Create focused stuff in the next series. And I'm really, really looking forward to having like a properly working factory. I feel like this factory, I feel like it had so much potential. It had so much more space. Like, look at this. Like, look, like I had this whole plan of like having everything like connected. We have all these like walkways through this build. And like, I wanted this to be like a main office that like overlooked like, you know, like one of those like boxy offices that you would see in those like old 50s style like factories. And it would like overlook the entire factory floor, but it never really ended up happening. I never really filled out this factory like I wanted to. You know, I wanted to have like different like little machines like this one on every single floor all over the place, like everywhere, and have all of their materials like whizzing around and like, you know, fueling other machines and automating lots of different stuff. But we didn't really I didn't really fulfill this vision necessarily, but you know, that's how all series go. You know, there's a bunch of stuff you want to do and you never quite get all the way through everything. Next up, we got this giant tube system right here, which is actually, we've got this water and lava, these fluid tanks. The water comes from up here, but the lava comes from all the way down here. All the way down here. Look at how long this thing is. Right over here, where we have this little steam engine. This actually powers all of the pumps that move the lava all the way up to our steam engines that are upstairs. But this actually pulls lava from deep in the core of the earth all the way down there. Using this hose pulley, we get it into this fluid tank, and then we move that fluid tank over here. These water wheels over here are only powering, I think, this one mechanical pump. Or no, it's powering this mechanical pump, and it's powering the mechanical pump to move lava into these blaze burners to run this steam engine. Over here, we got the massive gold farm, the super massive gold farm, which has 4 of the cobblestone generators that I have upstairs. I just basically copy pasted them and brought them down here using a schematic cannon. And then we have an absolute ton of these crushing wheels, way more than I actually need. This thing is actually kind of silly because instead of having a system that you can just run indefinitely, like a small system that you can just run indefinitely, I wanted a system that like I turn it on, it gets me a bunch of gold, and then I just walk away with all the gold in my pocket. Like, but it's not actually as fast as I would have liked it to be. And so it sort of leads me to the understanding with Create that it's actually much better to build a smaller machine that slowly builds gold over time than to build a big machine that makes tons and tons of gold, or any other resource for that matter, because this thing produces a lot of lag. And what's more, it also requires a lot of power. This machine by itself requires almost 1 million SUs worth of power, which is insane, and totally unnecessary. And then this weird opening in the corner of the gold farm. Now, I could have covered this, but I did think it was kind of funny that our miner here in the colony ended up cutting into the opening to the gold farm. Now, that could have been problematic if our miner was actually mining on that level. But they weren't. They were mining on the bottom level because I wanted them to get diamonds and things. But anyways, that's basically the entirety of the factory. Now, the next big build that we did is actually over here, is this one. And this is actually probably my most favorite build that I've ever done. It's quite small, but it brings together like a lot of little details and things like that I really, really like. I really love these windows, these yellow windows that it really makes it feel like there's somebody in there like doing weird magic. I love these curved roofs, and I like the double curved roof here where you've got two of them tucked into each other. I love this lantern, which I actually saw on somebody else's build, and I kind of stole it and put it on this one. I like the switches with the chains on them. There's a lot of little details here that I'm really, really, really happy with. This is actually probably, yeah, this is most certainly one of my most favorite builds. I also like the general concept of it too. I really like, with the tree that's bent over carrying the building. Yeah, I love this. And this is actually where we house all of our magic stuff. To be honest, we only ever really came up here for the Blood Moon, because by the time I had this built, I had already used the Hephaestus Forge from Forbidden Arcanas to make all of our tools infinite use. So I didn't really have much use for the space other than like the enchanter's table from time to time, the brewing stand from time to time, and mainly what we would come here for is this. This is what we use along with some of the materials in here. This is what we use to get rid of the blood moons. We do like a little ritual, we get rid of the blood moons. So that's that. My very favorite build in this series. Now, the colony. Now, this colony was a style that I had actually done before in a series called Permafrost, but I had never actually finished it. I do find that like the level 5 building of this colony is a lot nicer than everything else though. The style is called Urban Birch, and it's supposed to be like a more modern style with these like apartment buildings and stuff like that. But as far as the layout of this colony, I think it ended up turning out really well. We've got the town hall here right across from our university, along this central road here, this little central road. Our military district, which is one of the last districts that we made, that also houses our graveyards, as well as our Enchanter's Tower and the Nether Mine, which we never really used all that much. And then over here is our luxury district, which is basically all of like the more like secondary levels of industry, like the glassblower's hut. They're very secondary to like the main, more important stuff, which is over here. This is our industrial district, which I think turned out really, really nice. We got the sawmill, we got the stone smelter, or stone mason. They're the two that sort of do most of the heavy lifting in terms of material generation for our builders, which are actually up here. These are our 4 builders' huts. And we've got 2 more underground. The rest of this is our industrial district. A bunch of other buildings like the Fisherman's Hut, which is way over here. We got the concrete mixer's hut, which is over here. We've got the sifter somewhere. The sifter, I think, is right there. And then we've got the crusher, I think, is here. Then we've got the stone smeltery here. And then we've got the just the smeltery right here, which does like iron and stuff like that. Then we've got our Fletcher. We've got our wood cutter. We've got the mechanics hut over here. And then we also have the mine right here, as well as a bunch of homes. And that leads into the central area, which is sort of like the heart of our colony, which is our couriers' huts, which are back here. And they're actually being worked on. We've got one that's up to level 4. And these ones are actually being worked on right now, but they probably won't get finished. This is also being upgraded to level 5. This is our warehouse, which is, yeah, definitely the heart of the colony. It's how everything comes in and out. It's your main storage system. So when I need to supply the restaurant with more potatoes, say, I give them to the warehouse, and then they just end up over there through the courier system. And speaking of potatoes, over here, we've got one of these fancier homes, as well as a huge bank of apartments, which are kind of new, actually. And then this over here is our farming district. And our farming district has a farm. and then like 4 farming plots, as well as a guard tower, which is a couple guard towers, which are necessary. And then we've got a chicken hut, a sheep hut, a cowhand's hut, and then we've got the apiary, which is for bees, which is only at level 2, I think. And honestly, we should have actually put more effort into upgrading this because they're really handy. And then we've got these 3 level 1 composters, which are really just there to do some leveling at the university so that we could get these, our 2 plantations, which are both at level 3. We've also got a second farm right here, and 2 guard towers so that we could put those plantations in. That's like the whole colony. Oh, and I almost forgot about the rats and the rat system. We've actually got this copycat panel, which is supposed to be like this big manhole cover. When you open the manhole cover, down here, we have a sewer system. Now, this big sewer system, this is where we did all the rats stuff. Now, these rats, this is Splinter, which is our main dragon rat bro. But these rats are OP as heck, dude. Like, I feel like you could get a small army of these rats and you'd never have to swing a sword again. They would just do everything for you. One of the other builds we did that I'm actually quite happy with is this one down here. It ain't much, but man, does it really add a lot to this area. And it really makes, especially when you're walking around here, it really makes us feel legit. Now, one thing that I kind of never really did was deal with this over here. So this little like this generated structure, which is actually I think an irons, spells, and spellbooks structure, houses all of our portals. So our nether portal and our aether portal are both here. You can see we have the aether portal. Now, I never really did much with the aether. The one thing that we did do, which is get gravitite so that we could make a better airplane. And by the way, I actually ended up losing that airplane like a while ago because it somehow got broken in my garage and then just kind of despawned on the floor, I guess. But speaking of airplanes, I actually have another one right here, and I owe it to somebody that I met at the very beginning of this series. I owe them this biplane. So I'm gonna go drop that off to them right now. Look at this, way over here on this island, really, really far away, which we could always see. We could see it actually all the way over from our house. You know, that's the colony over there, and you can actually see this big ocean, and that island right there in the middle of the ocean. See it all the way from the colony. We came to this island on the very, very first episode, and I borrowed a biplane from Peepaw. Good old Peepaw, who was zombified in the basement, I guess. Now, if you don't know, this structure over here, this like airstrip structure over here is actually a custom structure that's been added by the mod pack devs, which is super, super cool because you come across this and it's like, I've never seen this build before. You know, one of the things that I find when I play, now that I've played a lot of mod packs, is that like I recognize builds. And I know like I recognize builds and I'm like, okay, I've been there. I've done this adventuring, I've done this exploring, and I've been there. And this is, because this is a custom structure, I have never been here before. And it was really awesome to come here and explore it and like find out that there is a biplane sitting in the hangar. And that the hangar itself is actually like all sort of like gross and unclean and stuff like that. And I got to spend some time upgrading it and making it better because it had this to-do list on the side. We also should have finished it. This was a really really cool little addition. And what I need to do, Peepaw is actually down here. This was Peepaw because he got turned into a zombie. But you know what? We're gonna return the biplane to old Peepaw because he let us borrow it for our big adventure in this series. So I'm putting it there. Thanks, Peepaw. Appreciate you. You can have your biplane back. And because I won't be needing it anymore. But yeah, this mod pack also has other custom structures that have been added, and just it really adds a lot to the experience. I think that there's one more thing I have to do. There's one more build I have to add to this colony to really complete it. And it's actually going to go right here. This little opening right here, I left it on purpose for something. I want a particular structure to go right here. All right. Check this out. I built a landing pad for a sky ship that we're going to use to get out of this place. That's right. We are setting sail into the skies, and we're actually going to be in search of something. We are in search of the Sky Islands. That's where we're going. And I cannot wait to get there. I am so excited. But before we go, somebody is going to have to take over the colony. And maybe it's going to be one of you guys. But I think for now, I'm going to take all of my items. I'm going to put them into this backpack here. All of my special items. Put those in the backpack as well. I know exactly who's going to be the one to take over the colony for me. All right, Sophia, I have something for you. It's very important, okay? These 2 backpacks contain basically all of my good stuff. All of the stuff that I've worn throughout the series, as well as my main backpack of gear and things that has basically all my good stuff in it. Sophia, I need you to pay attention. You are in charge of the colony now. I need you to take all this stuff, and I need you to take good care of it, okay? You're in charge now, at least for the time being. Now go and take care of the colony. All right, there she goes. Now, I think it's time for me to finally leave. I'm really gonna miss this place, you know? We really came a long way, and this was a pretty fun series. I hope that everybody who stuck around to watch it really enjoyed it, because I certainly enjoyed making it. But I'm not gonna lie, I am extremely, extremely excited and super looking forward to the next series. It's going to be absolutely amazing. And with that, I think it's time for me to go. So let me take this backpack. I do have a few provisions that I'm going to take with me. You know, a few things. I got myself a bed, set my spawn point. I got a few create mod things. I got everything I need. Our sail is going. Let's fly. All right. That's the end of the series. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next big adventure.
Even dreams start